I learned a lot about writing during the creation of my first novel, and I learned even more this time around. My book, The Frog Eater, will be released on September 4th. In honor of this momentous occasion, I've decided to release the top 3 writing tips I live by. Hopefully somebody out there finds them helpful. Tip 1. Plans are for losers. I don't mean outlines. Outlines are amazing. I adore outlines. Not everybody can use an outline to write, but they really work with me. Making a plan sounds like a perfectly reasonable thing to do, but I've found that it's the surest path to insanity. When I started The Frog Eater, I intended it to be a novella. That means under 50,000 words. Within a few months, it exploded into a 120,000 word document before I started editing. I'm pretty excited how it turned out, but that was not the plan. Plans sound great, but authors need a degree of flexibility. Never be afraid to abandon your plan if something better comes along. Tip 2. Try not to take research breaks. I thought it was just me, but apparently a lot of writers get sucked down internet rabbit holes. Regardless of genre, there is always an element of realism in books. You need that realism to keep from breaking the reader's immersion. If a character is impaled by a telephone pole and miraculously survives, that is pushing the bounds of belief. If they join a volleyball tournament the next day, that's just messed up. Unless they have some kind of expedited healing, the reader's immersion is broken. As a reader myself, that's when I don't finish books. I put them down if they can't keep something cohesive. There has to be logical consequences, which means as an author, I have to do research. What are the symptoms of a heart attack? Can you stab someone through chainmail? Is it possible to behead a man with a charcuterie board? Incidentally, the answer to that is yes, as we find out in The Frog Eater. Research is absolutely necessary, but it takes authors out of the writing flow. I became so much more efficient when I stopped taking constant research breaks. Instead, I keep a notepad by my mouse, and anytime I have a question that needs to be answered, I write it down. Sometimes I will bold or highlight things in my document that I need to fact check later on. All of that has proven to be far more efficient than just stopping and researching every few minutes. You can always find a spare moment to check how far a Toyota Camry can take you on a single tank of gas, but you may never remember that absolutely perfect thought you wanted to write down. Tip 3. Ground your reader. I know this is a little bit more of a mechanics thing than a lifestyle thing, but I still feel like it is a really important tip that everybody should know. Grounding your reader is so much more important than most new authors realize. Readers need to know what the world looks like. I'm not referring to the room your scene is in, though obviously you should probably include a few details about that, but what does your world actually encompass? What is the kind of feeling, the vibe that the world is giving off? When you pick up a book, you probably know if it's fantasy or science fiction or whatever, but what really defines the world you're reading yourself into? If it's just your usual run-of-the-mill European fantasy book, should you expect there will be a lot of chivalry, or is this going to be one of the ones that shows the depravity of nobles? Should you expect that magic will be everywhere, or is it going to be limited to a couple of people? Is it unique, or is it ubiquitous? Grounding the reader is about setting up expectations and giving the reader something to fall back on. My book, The Frog Eater, takes place in a world very similar to ours. Sure, it has magic and technology has advanced pretty far in a couple of industries, but it's still pretty similar. I could have just told the reader that, but I thought that was boring. So instead, I blew up Chicago. In one of my other books, Elvis never became a singer. Instead, he became America's favorite microwave salesman. This isn't some quirky little fact I included because I thought it was funny, although it does really amuse me. I included that because I felt like that was a very clear signpost to tell the reader what kind of a journey they were about to get on. Elvis is a microwave salesman because it clearly shows the reader that they can't make assumptions about what the timeline looks like. It is similar, but it is not the same.